Did Missouri just travel back to the 1950s? Well, this is Trump's America, so probably. According to new reports, a whites-only community could be coming to Missouri, with one already established in Arkansas. A man by the name of John Wesley Norton is trying to build what he calls a conservative, Christian, whites-only community outside of Springfield, Missouri. He says this community is for like-minded people. Let's be real, that means racists and segregation. This is in no way about values, this is about exclusion. It's about resurrecting white supremacy under the guise of freedom of association. And Missouri officials, they're silent, as you'd expect. They say nothing illegal is going on and it's private land. Since when did racism need a permit? If you're more upset about people protesting over the human rights violations of immigrants right now than you are about the resurrection of Jim Crow, then you're the problem. This isn't just a Missouri issue, this is a warning. Racism is alive and well, and it's buying land and building fences.
Now listen, I gotta say this up front. If a group of white folks in Arkansas want to build an all-white, super-religious community with no black people, no Jews, no gays, and call it a return to traditional values, honestly, I say let them. Let them show us exactly who they are. But here's the part that really caught my attention. It's not just about moving to the woods and minding their business. There's something deeper going on here. There's a mindset, a movement, a whole belief system that's spreading quietly, and most people don't even know it exists. I want you to watch this interview. Pay attention to the language they use, the way they talk about culture, identity, and control. Because what you're about to see isn't just about a town. It's about a mindset that's never stopped growing in America. And I want you to listen real close when they say Christian community, because if you're really Christian, you love people, right? Even in their flaws. You don't shut folks out just because they're different. So, what kind of Christianity are we really talking about here?
What we've done here is establish a place where we have control over who our neighbors are, and that is just for the sake of preserving, our culture.
And that culture, effectively, we're saying this is a white culture, a whites-only place.
White American culture.
Over the last year and a half, high up in the Ozark Hills in the state of Arkansas, dozens of people have been working hard, leveling the land, building houses. They call it an intentional community based around shared ancestry, a long-winded way of saying something really quite simple.
I think we would generally be called far-right, sure.
It's called Return to the Land, and they invited me in.
A lot of people are going to be, why are you making Nazi references?
Right. Well, why wouldn't I?
A seemingly bucolic and sometimes surreal experience. But this is built on a radical modern premise, made possible because of a new political and technological moment. One with strong ties to the most active far-right groups in the US. Instead of taking to the streets, they are building their own, for generations to come.
It's important for me to do this for my ancestors, my friends, my family, my children, my children's children.
But in this southern US state, people who have lived through segregation once fear it is returning.
When you hear things like that, it causes you to be fearful, and you don't know who to trust.
Its founder says he is building a fortress for the white race.
It's a racial association. I kind of want to ask you, after seeing this, do you think what we're doing is immoral?
Now here's the part that always gets me. Every time something like this comes up, a town trying to be whites only, or a group pushing hate in the name of religion, people act shocked, like this just came out of nowhere. But really? Where y'all been? Didn't we just watch a white woman, Shiloh Hendrix, go viral for yelling racial slurs at a black child? And white supremacists raised almost $1 million for her? $1 million. For hate. So no, this ain't surprising. It's just the mask slipping off again. Let's take a look at how some folks are reacting to this return to the land movement. And I want you to notice who's actually speaking up and who's quiet.
You guys, this is so wild and disturbing. There is a whites-only community being built in the Ozarks. I'm really disturbed. This seems like a reintroduction to segregation. So this community is located on 160 acres of land. It is called Return to the Land. There's about 40 people living on it right now. This includes people of law enforcement and federal agents. Nobody except for whites are allowed on this community compound. You also can't be gay or Jewish. And it is run by this guy right here, Eric Orwell. It's cut off at the top, but he is quoted as saying, "You want a white nation? Create a white town." It can be done, and we're doing it. It says over the last year and a half that they have been building this, what I'm going to call a compound. This movement started organizing online. In an interview with Sky News, this information was found out. I feel like I can't say that, but there were those in references on a public chat in Telegram. There was also 14 words, including and referring to this. And he seems to even go on and support Hitler.
A whites-only community could be coming to Springfield, Missouri. Yes, you heard that right. In 2025, a whites-only community. There's a group called Return to the Land, a self-declared whites-only organization already based in northern Arkansas. Their co-founder just announced that they're eyeing Springfield for expansion. This isn't just talk. They already own 160 acres of land in Arkansas alone, with cabins, wells, and a so-called community center. All for people with European ancestry. That's code for no black, no brown, no Jewish, no non-Christian people. This is white supremacy dressed up as rural living. It's illegal. It's very hateful, and it has no place in Missouri or anywhere else in America. Well, maybe the White House. But we need to be loud about this. Contact your local reps, share their story. Most importantly, don't be silent.
They say their goal is to have a white society that goes back to the fundamental white Christian values. In this small town, the men take on the task of building it, and the women take on the task of caring for the homes and the children. When asked about this whites-only project, they claim that it's all out of love and not because they hate any groups of people. They say that in order to protect their children, this was a necessary move to make. And they have supporters across the country. So much so that anytime anyone has a child, they're gifted thousands of dollars from their GoFundMe supporters. I think this is insane.
So I saw that Harrison, Arkansas has already put up their whites only signs and all of that. And the thing about Harrison, Arkansas, it's like the most racist place in the country. One of the most racist cities, towns in the country. So there's barely any black people there in the first place. So I want to know, who are those signs for? That's for like your own like satisfaction, because what black people are going in there that you need to tell them to stay out? Like, these people are just in here feeding their own They're so delusional. Like, who are you talking to? We don't want to go near y'all in there.
So now that you've seen it and you've heard them talk about protecting their children and protecting their families, let's ask the real question. Protecting them from who exactly? Because history shows us plain as day, they're the ones we've had to protect ourselves from. Who burned down black towns from Wilmington to Tulsa? Who committed the lynchings, the church bombings, the school shootings? Who stormed the Capitol? And who keeps getting away with it, time and time again? These same people who are now moving into the woods, calling themselves peaceful and Christian, are the same ones who cheered as Shiloh Hendrix yelled racial slurs at a child and then handed her nearly $1 million like she was a hero. That's who they're protecting their kids with, not from. So let them go build their little town. Honestly, I think it's a great idea. Because when they all pack up and separate themselves, maybe the rest of us can finally breathe a little easier. There might be less racism, less harassment, less hate crimes in our neighborhoods. Let them take their violent ideas and practice them on themselves for once. Let them homeschool their kids into isolation. Let them cut themselves off from the very diversity they claim to fear. See, black folks have always wanted to build something better. We've tried that. We've done it. But the difference is, when we build something for ourselves, we don't try to erase everyone else in the process. We build with love. We build with inclusion. And most of all, we build with vision. Look back at Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. We had banks, businesses, hospitals, lawyers, schools. Black people were thriving until white folks came and burned it all down, just because we dared to live without them. The same story happened in Rosewood, in East St. Louis, in countless other towns across the country. But still, we rise. And now, we're building again. Right here in my own home state of Georgia, something powerful is happening. It's called Freedom, Georgia. A group of 19 black families came together and bought 97 acres of land in Wilkinson County. Their mission? To build a safe, self-sustaining community rooted in black excellence, family, and unity. Freedom, Georgia isn't about hate. It's not about exclusion. It's about healing, about reclaiming our right to live in peace, to grow our own food, to raise our kids without fear, to live without being watched, judged, or hunted. And you don't hear major news outlets celebrating that, do you? So while some folks run into the woods to build an echo chamber of white supremacy and call it freedom, we're out here building something real, rooted in hope, not hate. And let's not forget, every time we try to live peacefully, they still find a way to come tear it down, even when we're not bothering them. That's why I say, let them have their little town. Let them have their all-white utopia. Just remember what happens when the tables turn, because when the hate they've been projecting finally turns inward, they'll have no one left to blame but each other. Meanwhile, we'll be building, thriving, growing. So if you're watching this and you're feeling angry or tired or even numb, I want you to remember, we've always had the power to create what we need. They're running away from diversity. We're running toward purpose. Keep an eye on Freedom, Georgia. Support movements like it. Share this video. Start a conversation, because the only way to fight back is to build forward. And to those who say separate but equal is wrong, just remember, it was never equal before. Now we're just trying to protect our peace. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But more importantly, drop your thoughts below. Let me know what you think about this community in Arkansas. Would you want to see more Black-led communities like Freedom, Georgia in other states? Let's talk about it.